Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video, and this is something I have been thinking, stressing, just been on my mind so much lately, and I've just been kind of worried about it. So we finally have the info on Absorbing Man and Baron Zemo's rebalancing. Now, why this is such a big deal for me is, as you can see right here, my Absorbing Man is rank 5. It's a very precious resource right now of rank 5s. I only have 3 of them. 3 rank 5s. So I was very worried about this. Absorbing Man is my favorite champ so far of 2023, and Baron Zemo is Karate Mike's favorite champ. I think maybe in the entire game, but definitely of 2023. So this is a big deal for us. I got rank 5 Absorbing Man. Mike has rank 5 Zemo. Both are pretty crazy champs. Both can do some pretty crazy things. So I've just been really keen to see this. So let's go ahead, pull the post up, and let's get into here. So hey all. Ballad's team here with an update on Absorbing Man and Baron Zemo. Let's start with Absorbing Man. Okay, so on attack, Absorbing Man has some specific targets to hit in the current meta. Path 9 and AW, that's where I've been rocking him. He's been crushing Path 9. As well as some annoying cosmic defenders such as Terrax, Null, and Annihilus. Yeah, he just hard counters all 3 of those like it's nothing. So so far, we're happy seeing players use Absorbing Man effectively in those matchups and are happy with where he has landed as an attacker. Okay, that's a good sign. On defense, Absorbing Man had the goal of being a difficult defender, looking for specific RPG counters in addition to mastering punishing his special attacks with your own heavy attack. So far, we're seeing that Absorbing Man has made a strong impact in the current defender meta and battlegrounds. We're currently satisfied with his performance as a defender, as his ban rate and defensive win rate are in a healthy and expected spot. While Absorbing Man's defensive win rate started off high on release in comparison to strong defenders who benefit from defense tactics, we're seeing it trend down over time as players become familiar with the playstyle needed to counter him. That's true. That's something I've also personally noticed. So that is true. As well as champions who counter him effectively. Dev note: try to avoid using Red Hulk. Clown's not going to like that. However, we're seeing a trend in the Challenger and hard tiers where Absorbing Man defensive win rate is higher than what we'd like to see. More specifically, in the same war. This indicates that there are situations where players who bring in suboptimal counters are stuck fighting Absorbing Man over multiple fights due to his strong regeneration, resetting progress in the fight. While we still want to keep the threat of regeneration on defense, we're looking to lower the amount of cases where a player can lose their progress between attempts and become fully stuck. Since we're happy with his performance as an attacker, we're looking to make a change that only affects his defender threat in Alliance more, and are looking to target this part of his signature ability. So, when Absorbing Man consumes Morph charges, he gains a non-stacking regeneration passive healing 10 to 30% of his missing health over 12 seconds. As a defender, this effect also triggers whenever Absorbing Man enters or refreshes any form. In his current state, since Absorbing Man starts the fight by entering Black Uru form, he also triggers the regeneration clause in his signature ability. Since this ability firing on fight start doesn't give the attacker the chance to counter this regeneration, it results in players losing progress. To lower the frequency of encounters with lost progress, we'll be looking to add a clause in the ability that prevents it from triggering at the start of the fight. Our hope is that this will lower the cases where attackers give up multiple attack bonuses to Absorbing Man, while still encouraging players to move away from using Red Hulk against him and to use Void more. Dude, let's go! Let's freaking go! Absorbing Man is going to be the same on attack. Oh, so happy. So happy. So happy. I didn't think he really needed to be toned down. But at the same time, when you're playing perfectly with those light intercepts, which is not easy to do. There is a skill cap on that. So that is a bit of a skill check in place with the character. But it can get pretty nasty. It can get pretty nasty, pretty nutty on attack. So I was slightly worried. Forms, the energy resistance and physical resistance in both forms are both very powerful. It's a lot. I was hoping that wouldn't be toned down. Really happy to see that it wasn't. And this was kind of a tease that I think DLL will change. I've been talking about this on streams that, if something's going to change, it's going to probably be the regen at start of fights. So that's cool. That's all it is. I think that's fine. That's great. I would have liked to maybe see if they wanted to make him easier to fight on defense. They could have, basically when Absorbing Man throws a special, and then if you counter with the heavy, you take him out of his form. But then I believe it goes on cooldown for, 20 seconds. That is quite long. If they really wanted to tone him down a bit on defense, they could have lowered that 20 seconds to, if they really wanted to tone it down, lower it to 10 seconds, or to 15 seconds, or to 18 seconds. They could have lowered that a bit. I don't think this is going to make that big of a, like, it's really only going to make a big deal when you die to him and you go back in, which, like, that's never going to happen in, like, a battleground situation, because you can't die and go back in. So I don't know, but yeah, totally fine with this. I think this is a small but good change, and yeah, it's not going to affect him on attack. So yeah, cool. All right, that's Absorbing-Man. Let's go ahead and move on now to Baron Zemo, Karate Mike's favorite champion, and the man that I'm looking for the most in the next feature. I'm very excited for this guy. So I was also very keen to hear about him. So let's get into this. So Baron Zemo is doing a good job of hitting his attribute and meta goals. On attack, he's showing up as a viable attacker option with either his bleeds or furies, especially against science champions with many debuffs or defensive abilities. On defense, he's encouraging bleed resistance on attackers that fight him. His indefinite effects are the right level of terrifying, and his route is somewhere you definitely don't want to be caught. While we're happy with the power level of Zemo in day-to-day content, he has two abilities that were intended to be defensively focused, but that are heavily shaping his offensive identity too. His Fury gain from Purify or Immunity, and the Armor Up buffs that function as a cooldown for his Cleanse passives. So we want to preserve the strength of his Fury and Cleanse while making sure Baron Zemo feels interactive to play as and against. Fun and interactive, eh? Though we want to adjust these abilities, we want these changes to feel neutral or even beneficial in most fights, for the handful of existing matchups that are affected by the change direction below. Like Black Widow Clairvoyant, we still want him to feel like a strong attacking option. Furies on Purify or Immunity. Zemo gains a potent Fury buff each time the opponent purifies a debuff or is immune to an effect. These can stack and apply to all debuffs or effects, including those from any quest nodes. This combination can leave open some interactions that are either too punishing to play against when he's a quest defender, or incentivize play that breaks the core fight flow as an attacker. We'll be looking to safeguard against some of these potential combinations while still keeping this ability as a major damage source for him, with the early direction being to add a simple cap around 15. Since most of his matchups involve him using a Fury as soon as he gains it, this ability should still feel quite strong, which is our goal. We believe this will affect niche but extreme matchups on both offense and defense. So let's talk about this before we talk about the next thing. So basically, how Zemo works is, anytime there's an immunity, he gains a Fury buff. Now, this works really weirdly. For example, you're fighting Nick Fury, right? You stack up 20 bleeds on him. Okay, those bleeds are indefinite, they're not going anywhere. But you kill his first life. Then, everything's gone. Nick Fury starts over. Any buff, any passive, any effect on him is gone. It's wiped clean. So technically, he goes immune to it, I guess. So with Zemo, he gains whatever effects he had on that Nick Fury in that first life. When he goes in second life, he gains it all as Furies because he went immune to it. So boom, you see Zemo just get, boom, 20 Fury buffs. But as soon as Zemo hits them, they're gone. They're all consumed. But that one hit, especially if he crits, I've seen crazy things from Karate Mike. I've seen 260,000 medium attacks. Just because you stack up these Furies, and then boom, one fat hit if it crits, and then they're dead. And it's pretty bonkers. So I even said in For Looking Last time, I'm like, oh, great job, Mike. You got Zemo nerfed, hitting those 260k mediums. I meant it joking. And Mike's response to that was, hey, man, even with 15 Furies, he can still hit for 250k if he crits again. So this change, I think it's fine. I do see this as a slight nerf. However, I think it's fair. And I think it's still going to be super solid. Again, with 15, if he crits, it's still going to be a lot of damage. 15 is still a lot. If they lowered this like below 10, then I think that would be a problem. But as long as it doesn't go below 10, I think that's fine. 15 sounds fairly good. Yeah, so that's the first change. That's the first change. Now there is another change. Let's continue reading. So, Cleanse passive and Armor Up buff. So when Baron Zemo uses all his Cleanse passives, he roots his opponent and gains an Armor Up buff. As soon as that buff is no longer present, either due to expiring or being removed, he gains his Cleanse passives and can start the loop again. Because regaining Cleanse passive is tied to an Armor Up buff, fights with effects like Armor Break and Nullify have drastically different pacing compared to fights in which Zemo has to wait the full 20 seconds of his Armor Up buff. We want to make the cycle on his cleanse feel more consistent, preserve his cleanse uptime to counter debuffs, and prevent him from too quickly being able to put his opponent back into root. To accomplish this, we're looking into changing the buff to a passive and reducing its duration. So his cleanse is more consistently back after about 15 seconds. With the idea of it being changed to a passive, we're also exploring what type of defensive effects best help Zemo as a skill attacker. So, looks like there's going to be two main changes to Zemo. His armor up buff is going to be turned into a passive, and it's going to be lowered from 20 seconds to 15 seconds. And yeah, the Furies will have a soft cap around 15. So overall, I don't know Zemo nearly as well as Mike does. Mike seems to think that this is maybe even a good thing for the passive, because yeah, like it's saying here, it'll be consistent, which would be nice, you know. And then consistency is a very nice thing to have in a champion. You want consistency, at least I do. That's what I freaking hate about Domino. It's the most inconsistent champion in the entire game. So yeah, I'm, like I said, I don't have Zemo. I've only played with him when he came out for the CCP, the initial month this year, and I really liked him. Thought he was very simple. It was felt very good to play. I was so excited to get him, and I'm still very stoked to get him. Definitely gonna be taking him right to rank 4 as soon as I get him, and still very excited even with all these changes. But yeah, and so what's next here? So changes for both characters, as mentioned before. We don't have their changes locked in and are still working on them. However, here's a brief timeline of how this round of changes will go. So 40.0 June plus 40.1 July. Zorgman and Baron Zemo's changes hit the CCP beta for members to dig into and create content with. And then 41.0 August, Zorgman and Baron Zemo release with their new changes. So, man, that's so far away. That's end of summer. These changes will be final. That just feels like forever from right now. But yeah, guys, so that is the changes to Zemo and Absorbing Man. Let me know what you guys think. This is the one I've been waiting on for a long time. I'm very happy that Absorbing Man is going to be the same on attack. So excited to keep on using him in Battlegrounds, story content, Alliance War. Just been crushing everything with this guy. Absolutely love him. Yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed the breakdown. I'd really love, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about both these changes for both these characters. I'd really love to hear your feedback. What you guys think about this with the rebalance program. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more content. Thank you guys so much for watching.